So my name's Mike King. I run a small charity called the Key to Life Charitable Trust. We run in three parts. The Key to Life Charitable Trust is our legal entity. That's where our board sits. That's where our general manager, CEO, whatever you want to call them, they report to the board, and they take care of all the health, safety, compliance. They make sure all of our young ambassadors are fully qualified in what they're doing, have all of the, all of the things that they need to do the job that they do. So that's the legal arm of our trust. The face of our trust is I Am Hope. Our goal at I Am Hope is to drive positive societal attitudinal change, to forever change the way people think, feel and act about mental health. Why did we choose, of all of the things in mental health, why did we choose societal attitudinal change? Well, for the last 9-10 years, we have been traveling up and down the country sharing our stories of our personal ups and downs with young people. Since 2013, we've reached over 350,000 kids face to face from Bluff to Cape Reinga, more than any other organization out there. No one has faced more kids than I Am Hope. We have been in secondary schools, primary schools, we're in intermediates, all for no cost. We cover our own costs. We don't charge the schools. Why? Because we believe that every kid needs to know that how they think is normal. Now I say how they think. What we've discovered in the last 10 years is that the biggest problem in mental health today isn't depression, anxiety, bullying, suicide ideation, all of the things that the Ministry of Health push. It is not that. These are all outcomes of the biggest problem in mental health today. The biggest problem facing young people, and if I'm being honest, myself, my generation, an overactive inner critic. That little voice that we all have inside our heads that is constantly telling us we're not good enough. That little voice that undermines our logical thinking and has us second guessing the things that we do, say and see every day. We finish a project, oh my God, I've screwed that project. Look at that, oh man. Every time I say something, oh, what'd you say that for, you idiot? Now everyone's gonna think you're stupid. That little voice that undermines your logical thinking is the biggest problem in mental health today. So by sharing our journeys of our battles with self, we allow young people to recognize themselves in our story, and by looking around the room and seeing all the other students that are nodding or putting their hands up to things that we think and the things that we say, they look around and they go, holy crap, everyone thinks like me. We give young people the number one lesson in mental health today. And the number one lesson in mental health today, wait for it, no one has got their shit together. We are all pretending. Unfortunately for our kids, they're living in a world of perfect adults where everyone's got their shit together and I'm the big I am. Our kids come home from school, they'll tell us about 5 things happened their day, 4 amazing ones bad. What do we focus on? What do you mean you failed that maths test? I told you on Thursday you had to study for that maths test, didn't I? Oh no, you and your stupid friends, you had other ideas, didn't you? And now look what happened. You failed, didn't you? Look. Your mother and I had nothing when we were your age. We had nothing. We lived in the cardboard box. Do you think all of this fell out of the sky, mister? Do you think money grows on trees? Now, what we think we're saying to our kids when we say stuff like this is, son, you're an amazing kid. Mum and I love you. But the message our kids are getting, no matter what I do, I'm never going to be good enough for you. Think about that. No matter what I do, I'm never going to be good enough. Dad, I scored 5 tries today. I was at the game, mate. Should have got 6. Dad, did you see that pass? Yeah, I saw that drop ball as well. Again, little things. Each one on their own is not going to affect your child. But think about this. 2 little put downs a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 15 years. That's a hell of an inner critic we're giving to our children, because how we speak to our children becomes their inner voice. Now, how do we get to societal attitudinal change being the most important thing? Well, research. After speaking to 350,000 kids in schools, what we've discovered is 40% of kids in school today will have a major crisis, often associated with some type of suicidal thinking, whether it's a one-off thought or whether it's a recurring thought that grinds them down on a daily basis. 40%, which I know a lot of you freaking out. Wow, 40%, 40%. Look, having a thought is normal. You know, 99.9% of the people watching this video right now, you've all had a suicidal thought. If you haven't left your house at least once in your life going, what's the point? You need to get out of the marshmallow you're living in. So having a thought means nothing. Here's the thing you should all worry about. 80% of kids and 80% of your friends, if we're being honest, who have suicidal thoughts, never ask for help, ever. And the reason they never ask for help is because they're worried about what other people will think, what other people will say, what other people will do. And if you're a parent, the number one thing kids tell me when I say, have you talked to your parents about your suicidal thinking? The number one thing they say, it isn't, oh, I can't talk to my mum and dad, I can't do this. The number one thing our kids say, I can't tell mum and dad. I don't want to disappoint them. My mum and dad have worked so hard for me to get where I am. All they want is for me to be happy. I can't go home and tell them that I'm having these thoughts because they'll think it's their fault. Think about it. They'll think it's their fault. Can you imagine that? Your child won't speak to you because they don't want to disappoint you. And yet our message to young people who are scared of what other people will think, say or do, our message that we say to them, hey, if you're having problems, reach out and ask for help. That's like saying to someone, hey man, I'm scared of sharks, but you're saying go swim with sharks and a dolphin may come along. It's ridiculous. So what we do is we normalize the inner critic and we encourage the number one thing that should be encouraged, not only in schools but in society today. And that's not reach out and ask for help, it's what are you doing? What are we doing to make it okay for people to reach out and ask for help? If you haven't had a child or a friend come to you in the last 6 months and say, hey man, I'm having these problems. And I mean talking about emotions here. I'm not talking about, oh, I've got a problem with my home or I've got a problem with this. Or, you know, if you haven't had a mate come to you and tell you how they are feeling, then you're the problem. You need to look in the mirror, like I have, every day and go, what is it with me that my mates aren't talking to me about issues? Because we know everyone's got issues. I've got issues, so everyone must have issues. Why is no one talking to me about their issues? And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because, you know, people don't trust you. The number one reason people don't ask is because they only want to talk to people who take off their mask and show vulnerability. We're not showing enough vulnerability. So I Am Hope, we go to schools throughout every school term. We've got a 6-month waiting list. So I Am Hope and the Key to Life Charitable Trust, we get no funding from this government, none whatsoever. Probably because, and to be fair, the day the government offers us money, I think will be the day to get out of this this whole business, because they only fund shit that's going wrong. When we're doing the I Am Hope school talks, the number one thing we encourage at the end of the talk is counselling. And unfortunately, when we started in 2013, schools either didn't have counsellors, or they had counsellors who were their teachers, or the counsellor knew their parents and the kids didn't want to go. So we on the quiet were just funding counselling in the private sector for young people. And you know, we wouldn't tell anyone, but anyone who came to me and said, hey, you know, I'd like to see a counsellor, just go and find someone we'll pay for it. In 2018, someone came up with a brilliant idea of doing this day called Gumboot Friday. It was to show empathy for people who are struggling with depression. Most people who have depression or hold on to, who have an overactive inner critic, they pretend they've got their shit together, they've all got their masks on, they walk around confidently. They don't know if there are any other people out there that care about them. So our idea was Gumboot Friday, right? Why? Because having depression is like walking through mud. So let's put on our gumboots for one day and show people out there that there are people that support them, and we'll raise some money for the charity. This was the original idea. What we decided to do was something crazy. We decided that we would raise the money. It wouldn't go to the charity. The charity wouldn't take a cut. 100% of that money would pay for free kids counselling. 100%. Every cent of that $1 goes directly to counsellors, and we take the admin charges. Now, why is that? Because when you're paying the admin charges, my friends, you keep that admin cost down to a minimum. We don't even, so we outsource all the admin. We outsource it to another company, so we don't take 1 cent. So far, we've raised about $2.7 million. Last month, I think we had just under $300,000 worth of counselling. The difference between our counselling and the government counselling, anyone can use it. Go to gumbootfriday.com. Find a counsellor in your area. If you're 25 and under, we'll pay for it. Just click on the counsellor. We take care of the bill. Our average wait time, the counsellor will be in touch with you within 48 hours, and the average wait time is 6 days. I know this works because a government official, when I was asking the government to pay, help cover the cost, I went to a government official. I said, hey, bro, how about funding Gumboot Friday? He said, I quote, you'll never get funding for that, Mike. Why not? Because anyone can use it. What do you mean by that? You don't even have to be mentally ill to see a counsellor. I was like, that's the fucking point, mate. What do you mean? Like, but you have to be mentally ill before you can. No, you don't. That's why you morons will never get on top of this. This is a preemptive move. If we can get a young person talking about a small problem, it doesn't become a big problem. It doesn't become a suicidal thought. For $147, we can stop the tsunami that is going into our mental health system, but these morons won't do it. So it's challenging. My job is challenging. People say to me, but how do you fill your cup? Well, there's 2 ways I fill my cup. 2. 1, every time I go into a school and I see a young person go from this person to that person. I'll give you a classic example. 2 years ago, I was down in the South Island, and a teacher came to me and said, we've got a young Māori boy here. He's got anger issues. So, I was wondering if you could go and talk to him. I said, sure, I'll go and talk to him. So I went in and chatted with this young fellow. I said, how you going? He was really angry. Oh, I'm fine. And I'm like, so, no, I said, hey, it's okay. It's okay. I just come to say hello. Maybe I'll catch up with you after the talk. Yeah, whatever. And so I went out. I don't take this personally. The kid's got issues. So I went up and did my talk, and after the talk, I was, a whole lot of kids were up there talking to me, and I saw this young Māori boy walking towards me, and he had the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. And I immediately stopped what I said. Hey, bro, hey, man, that was awesome. I go, okay, what was so awesome about it? He goes, I quote, oh, man, it's awesome to know I'm not the only one that's fucked in the head. People take great comfort in knowing that they are not alone. And this fills my cup. I can be tired fighting bureaucrats in Wellington and being ignored by Jacinda and the government and every bureaucrat in Wellington, but that fills my cup. It makes a difference. The second thing that's helping me is my rediscovery of golf. When you're in this game, and I've been in this game for a long time, it's all absorbing. It's 7 days a week. It was having a devastating effect on my marriage. My wife and I were becoming more and more distant. And at the beginning of the year, I went away and I was working on a TV project, and I was out on a beach somewhere, and I was just sitting there reflecting on my life. And you know, the number one thing that kept coming to me was, you know, I'm out there helping, you know, other families, you know, lead a better life, but you know, the payback for that was I was neglecting my own family, and I was overwhelmed with guilt. So I came home and I sat down with my wife, and I just admitted, look, you know, I don't want to die and, you know, have my family think, you know, you never spend any time with us. So I said to my wife, things are going to change. You and I are going to spend more time together. And you know, I could see that she was expectant and going, you know, there's a catch, there's a catch, there's a catch. And I said, in order to spend more time together, I'm buying you a set of golf clubs. And like, it was a half-pie joke, you know, but the look on her face was, yes, that's a great idea. I was like, holy shit. So I rang up Eric. I rang up Eric from the Golf Warehouse, and I said, look, mate, you're never going to believe this. You know, my wife wants to start golf. And I send him, like, true story, I sent him a picture of a set of golf clubs on Trade Me. And I said, can you just tell me if these are good clubs? I think this is a bargain. And he got back to me and said, they're shit. Come in. And we'll sell you a set of golf clubs. I was like, cool, I'm going to get a good price. I came into the Golf Warehouse, and the golf clubs were sitting there waiting for her. It was phenomenal. It was an unbelievable feeling that my wife had a set of TaylorMades sitting there waiting, and we've been going out just about every other day to the Golf Warehouse site at Ellerslie, and we hit balls, and we spend time together. It's reminded me that, you know, I really need something outside of the of mental health to fire me up. And you know, no matter where I'm hitting the balls, and trust me, fuck, they go everywhere, right? Every time I hit a bad ball, and you know, like, you know, let out a tiny expletive, I turn around and there's my wife with a shit-eating grin. So you know, it's a great thing. I thought that was going to be the end of the relationship, and I know Eric and the team here at Golf Warehouse, they don't want me talking about this, but it's important to me and it's important to the charity. These guys have dug into their pocket, and they are helping us to help our kids. And it's not just a gesture where they pass over money and job done. You know, Eric and the team are constantly checking in on not only my mental well-being, but on the mental well-being of my wife. It's a great organization. You know, everyone thinks that golf is a gentleman's sport and all of that. These guys are just fair dinkum Kiwis, and no matter where I go, no matter what store I walk into, no matter what range I'm on, I don't know, they must have like this cookie cutter cutout of people that should be working, because everyone here is very generous with their time. They're all passionate about mental health. They understand that mental health issues in New Zealand are not going away. It's actually going to get worse, and they need to support organizations like ours. So I'm forever grateful. If you're having trouble with your marriage, if work is getting too much, buy your missus a set of golf clubs from the Golf Warehouse and get out there and smack some balls. And when I say smack some balls, just pretend that little ball, you know, is someone that you don't like, and just really, or someone that's upset you for the day, and just smack the shit out of it. I have big history with the game of golf. I grew up in Whenuapai village. My mum and dad discovered golf when I was about 8 years old. So we became golf orphans. I never saw them again until I was 15, like they were around the house, but they were always at the golf club. So they belonged to the Air Force Golf Club out in Whenuapai. And I guess, you know, the way I could connect with my dad was I used to take his clubs out to the wreck at the back of the thing, and I'd hit golf balls. I would watch my dad, I would mimic his swing. My dad was a great golfer, and it brought us closer. Not closer in the way that I wanted to be brought closer to. You know, I used to get booted in the ass. Well, who the hell's been using my golf clubs? How many times have I told you? But but it brought us closer. So I've always had a great relationship with golf. I'm a perfectionist. When I start something, I want to be perfect at it. So golf has always been challenging for me, and it's a challenge that I like. I'm the sort of guy that likes getting in there and perfecting. I can sit there for hours and practice over and over. I'm a great believer in the 10,000 hour rule. The more you practice, the more you get better. Unfortunately, I think about after the 11,000th hour, I realized I was never going to be any good at golf. So I just took it up with my mates all through my comedy career. We would go out there. I'm never going to be good at it, but I still want to win every time I go out there. It's a great game. But when I got out of comedy and moved into mental health, it became all-encompassing. So I didn't really have time to play. I'd play maybe 1 or 2 times a year, and I don't know what brought me back. I think it was just one day I had an epiphany, and I decided I needed to play more golf. And it wasn't until I went out there and started hitting the ball, I realized how much I missed it and how much I missed my mates. My mates would ring up and say, hey, Mikey, let's go and do this. Well, let's go and do that. I'm too busy. These are guys that I used to talk with about my problems. But when I got into the mental health game, I thought that, my problems didn't matter and everyone else's problems. So it helped me to be more vulnerable again. It hasn't helped my golf at all. But mentally, it's a relationship I wish I'd never broken. And I'm glad it's back. Obviously, if you want to help in our journey, there are ways that you can come on board and help. If you want to sponsor a young ambassador, if you want to donate to Gumboot Friday, there are lots of things that you can do. But it's not the most important thing. We run a lot of events where we're not asking for money, and it's very confusing for people. We're going along, where do I donate? Oh, we don't want you to donate. Well, how do we help? Go home and have a conversation. The number one way you can help me is go home and take off your mask. Start being more vulnerable. The number one thing our kids need to see, particularly from men, is vulnerability. And I'll tell you what, your kids know when you're stressed. Everyone knows when you are stressed. And if you don't tell your kids why you are stressed, if you don't give them some information, some background into why you're upset, they will make it about them. For example, you get home after work, your kid knows you're upset. Hey Dad, how's your day? I had a shit day, mate. Now look, I've got no time to talk about this stuff. Go to the fridge, get me a beer, I'll be on the couch. Now your young person is walking to the fridge going, what the hell did you do to Dad? What the hell did you do to Dad? You must have done something. You're always screwing stuff up. You're always screwing stuff up. They make it about them. Now you've got a young person who thinks they are the problem. But if you just come home and said, son, I've had a shit day. The boss was a dick. I nearly punched someone at work. I said something to someone that I shouldn't have said, and I feel like an idiot. But because you came to me and you noticed that I was feeling bad, you lifted me up, mate. And I really, really appreciate it. Come here, give me a hug. Now get to the fridge and get me a beer. I'll be on the couch. The only difference is this time, your young one is going to be walking to the fridge going, yeah, you helped your dad. I'm the man. So I am no longer the problem. I'm the solution. So show vulnerability. Have that conversation. When your kids are talking about their problems, don't make it about you. Don't say, oh, yeah, well, the same thing happened to me, son. Same thing happened. Just shut up. Just listen. Kids are like wives. They don't want you fixing it, Pops. They just want you to listen. So just nod, just give them time, give them space, give them some time to unload, and focus on the 4 good things. Focus on the 4 good things. Man, son, that pass that you threw today. Man, you got 5 tries today. Yeah, you might have slipped up on that last one, but you got 4 things right, mate. You're the man.